what's happening, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. Well, here's how we do this thing. Hold on one second. Let me adjust my camera there. All right. So, everybody who doesn't know, we got Aaron Peterson here from Peterson Northwest Guide. And what's the website again?
PetersonsNorthwest.com.
PetersonsNorthwest.com. So, we're just going to yak it up like we normally do on these things and just kind of check in, see how people are doing, get people to know who you are. Usually what we do here is we kind of let you introduce yourself and kind of give your background on how you got into doing what it is that you do for a living, and then carry on from there. So why don't you introduce yourself to the folks here?
All right. Hi, guys. Aaron Peterson, Peterson's Northwest Guide. Started this service about 4 years ago. Used to commercial fish in Alaska, so I had a lot of spare time in between seasons. Started fishing a lot. Got into the guiding, guide in Alaska, Washington. Now I do a lot of waterfowl in the wintertime, so a little bit of my steelhead has slowed down, but the waterfowl thing's taken off, so it's been pretty cool.
Yeah. That's what a lot of our buddies in Northern California do is they do salmon, striper, and then in the wintertime, there's some steelhead, the small runs they get on the Yuba and stuff up there. But then come wintertime, it's all ducks and geese.
Yep.
Yeah. So how'd you get into, you say you were a commercial fisherman, and you just kind of decided one day you were going to open a guide service, or how'd you get into it?
Well, a couple of things. I had some guys in the industry that wanted me to guide, team up with them, worked with guys. It's just something that I've always been passionate about. I absolutely love fishing, and it is so rewarding to get a family, kids, people out there that don't get to do it a lot. And when you're fishing 4 or 5 days a week, you start looking for family and everybody you can that hasn't caught a lot of fish to get in the water. And it's real rewarding to see the joy on their faces and the adrenaline they actually feel when they're catching their first salmon or they're shooting their first duck. It's just, really taking a kid out fishing and having them giddy and excited is
Yeah, that's probably, we talk to a lot of guides doing this podcast and then just obviously through work. And that's the first thing that they say is, man, if I can get a kid on their first fish, their first duck, their first salmon, steelhead, striper, whatever it is, it's kind of, it's awesome to see that that's a lot of the motivation for a lot of guys. Because I remember that, I'm sure you remember your first steelhead, right?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my mom dropped me off on the side of the Skycomish River and saying, "I'll pick you up in 4 hours. Good luck." Yeah.
Nice. Cool. So what have you been doing in this weird COVID-19 world we live in where you haven't been able to guide for a couple months? Now you're back at it, I would assume, because a lot of guides are in Washington. But what were you doing for that downtime?
Well, the nice thing is I have a family construction company for over 40 years. So
yeah.
We have still been doing some work. Most of it's not essential, but, take some jobs here and there, and actually traveled around, went and hung out with some friends, and didn't stay stuck on the couch. And then finally, when we could fish, took a buddy and went fishing, ran all over. Did projects, worked on the boat, new floors in the boat, that downtime.
Yeah.
Now that we finally got a fish, I know it's only phase 1. You can only take a couple people out, but we are getting out in the water. Unfortunately, this will be my first year not going to Alaska in some time to guide on the Nushagak. And so I got to figure out what I'm going to do this June. I haven't been home 4 or 5 years in June. So I don't know if I'm going to dabble in some sturgeon up north, do the kokanee thing. We got some steelhead and springers opening in our backyard on the Skycomish. So we'll see. I mean, I'm getting some emails on a little bit of everything. So
Yeah. So you are getting, that was going to be the other question that I had is I've noticed this, that in phase one of reopening, you guys can have a couple people on the boat. They have to be from the same household. Is that correct? Yeah.
yeah.
And are you getting people who actually want to go? Because that's the thing. A lot of the stores are opening. A lot of things are opening back up. But is confidence there? Are people actually trying to book?
Oh, the whole time we were shut down, people wanted to fish.
That's good to hear.
I mean, people are like, okay, I'm sitting on my couch. Where are you at? Well, we can't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. And obviously, once the fishing was opened back up, people got super excited. The weather was great a couple weeks ago, so everybody wanted to get out. So, I mean, I predict here in the next week, we're going to be phase two, hopefully in half the state.
Yeah.
Right? We're having some problems with some of the national parks, even though they're in phase two counties.
Yeah.
They're trying to say that they want the majority of the state in phase two before they go to that guideline. So you do have to check your places where you're fishing. It's just not a free for all with the phases.
Yeah.
So we're kind of monitoring all that, and we're getting ready for the summer. The summer should be a pretty fun time out there for people in the fall. So
yeah, what are you doing differently on your boat?
A lot of wiping down. I mean, when you get two people from the same household, it's sit in the front of the boat. Don't sit next to me.
Yeah.
We'll try not to bump into each other a lot. Wipe the reels down. Put them in gloves. I mean, 24-foot boat, 3 people. It's fine.
Yeah. 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 That's kind of what I've noticed from a lot of people. And, you can argue the merits of the rules and whether they work or if they're stupid or not and all of that stuff. But, at the end of the day, the rules are the rules and you got to follow them because, especially if you're a guide or even if you cut hair or you're a tattoo artist or whatever, the rules are the rules are the rules and you got to follow them because that's how you stay in business.
Yep.
So it's interesting. But once people get in the boat, but you're there. You know what I mean? You're in the boat. And
yeah.
Household, you're the one who's really probably at the most risk, if you're going to be at risk at all.
That's the thing. I know my boat's clean. I know I'm healthy and I've taken precautions, but do you know what that other person did on the way there? I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, we're healthy.
Yeah.
A little blown out proportion in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if people want to get on the water, I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah, nice. So you say this summer you're not going to be in Alaska, so you're thinking about doing some sturgeon fishing?
Possibly. We're possibly going to do a keeper sturgeon fishery up in Kettle Falls on Lake Roosevelt area.
Yeah.
Might stay around home and dabble with the steelhead and springers. Kokanee are going like crazy in my own backyard. We'll see.
I love them.
It's fun. The kids absolutely eat them up.
Oh yeah, and I got 2 little ones, so I'm all about it. Me personally, my salmon and steelhead days are on pause for a little bit with the little ones because when I go fishing, I want to take them.
Yep, and you want it to be a lot of action and
Yeah.
not long trips and not miserable. I mean, you don't want to put a kid in a boat for 2 salmon bites and rain. You want to put them on a boat for 4 hours with 25 kokanee takedowns.
Yeah, and I'm not one of those dads that's going to take my daughter and just stick an iPad in her face.
Exactly. Here's some rope. We're going to teach you a knot. We're gonna figure something out outdoors right now, not electronics.
Yes, exactly. Do you get that a lot on your boat when people bring kids, where like the folks might just turn to the kids and go, "Here, take my iPhone, play a video game,"
Not a lot. Once in a while, if the kid's getting a little whiny toward the end of the day, the dad will try to sneak him a cell phone, but you can see it coming. So
Yeah.
you actually, oh, here's my dog barking. You can actually, get a little job for him to do. Scrub this part of the boat, play with this fishing gear.
Yeah.
I mean, between the sockeye fisheries, kokanee, and some of these fall Chinook fisheries, there's not a lot of downtime. There's action.
Sure.
You're getting bit.
Yeah. Awesome. So you also do some, like a lot of guides that I know, you will show up at trade shows and do some sales for Lamaglass as well. I am very curious to see if we're going to have a sportsman show run this year or not. That's going to, with the Pendleton Roundups closed, the St. Paul Rodeo's closed, every concert's going to be closed for another year. That's going to be a big question mark.
Yes, it's a little nerve-wracking thinking about the down the road, the future stuff. I know ICAST got the plug pulled on it pretty.
Yep. Do you normally go to ICAST with Lammy?
Last year was my first year. I'm usually up. I left a week early from the Nushagak last year to attend.
Yeah.
I miss it, but last year was overwhelming. It's
a beast.
It is big.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be interested to see how that works and then also how that affects the industry. Because I know for us, it's not we go and we enjoy it, but it's not it's not like a lot of companies I know that go to the Portland Sportsman Show and just walk away with a huge, oh, Danica says hello, by the way.
Danica, what's up?
So yeah, it's not where we walk away with a huge pile of our revenue for the year. If we didn't do it, it wouldn't phase us, honestly. But I do know a ton of people in the industry who, if they didn't do the Portland and the Puyallup show, they would have a massive hit.
We'll have to figure something out. I mean, if they pull the plug on us and do that, then, I mean, with the technology we have out, we got to figure something out. I mean, this industry is not just going to go away.
No.
And people are hungry to get outside.
Yep.
Whatever we got to do to support these small companies, fishing companies, hunting companies, we got to get together and do it.
We have been absolutely blown away with the response from our customer base during this time. They absolutely stepped up and have kept us going. And we weren't shy about it either. We were like, look, guys, if you were planning on buying a hat or a T-shirt, now's the time, because this is about to get real rough. And we've been really lucky to see the response that we've seen. Also, giving away 31 red lines wasn't a bad move either. But
pretty cool. I'm glad we can do that.
Yeah, dude, that's super cool that we were able to do that. And that type of stuff, I think, when you say we're going to have to figure out something digitally, I think it's going to be interesting to see. And this leads me into one of the questions I wanted to ask you. I'll preface it by saying it's going to be interesting to see how businesses in the outdoor industry who don't typically, I'm not going to say all of them, but most of them don't typically embrace the digital side of sales. They just don't. And they're going to have to. Their hand has been forced now. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. But it's also going to be interesting to see how guides get creative and what they do to not only promote themselves, where things like sportsmanship, a lot of guides go to the sportsman show and book their whole year, Yeah. So what are you going to do moving forward to try to drum up that business? And then maybe if you do nothing but guide, what are you going to do to get creative? I perfect example is I have a customer of ours that is in Southern Oregon, and he'll do a morning fishing trip, steelhead trip. And then in the evening, he'll do a sip and float, and he puts a little bench in his drift boat with an umbrella, and he gets some couple from the city with some wine and cheese and just gives them a little float down the river for $100 a head.
Gotta love the booze cruise.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just get creative and figure out what you're going to do to keep the wheels spinning. That to me is kind of the most interesting part of this whole process that we're going through right now is who's just going to fold up and die and give up, and then who's going to get creative and push through, and what is that going to look like for our industry 3, 6, 9 months down the road?
Right. Well, I mean, traditionally everybody's a hands-on, touch, feel people in this kind of industry.
Yeah.
It'd be from touching a new fishing lure on the market to actually engaging with your guide and getting a feel. I mean, you don't just book a trip a lot of times just online. A lot of times people get to meet the guide, like the guide, don't like the guide.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking to people, you get to know who they are. And sometimes people don't want to open up on a phone, I don't know. We will figure it out. Everybody in this industry, they've worked hard for what they have. And I don't think it's just little things are going to slip away. I really see
Yeah.
people stepping up and trying to save their business, the fisheries, the animals that we can harvest. Everything is people are going to put forth more effort, and we will figure out a way.
I have seen a couple people, obviously I'm not going to name names. I have seen a couple people in the industry, guides and gear folks, whether it be apparel or tackle or whatever it is, who have, in my opinion, folded up shop. They've given up. They've said, you know what? This is apparently I can't work. I can't do anything. But then I have a friend of mine who is a guide, and he's exactly as you said, he's doing Zoom calls with his potential clients so that he can have that face-to-face. And
Yep.
He's going, hey, here's what you need. You're going to need to do this. You're going to need to do this. And he's actually going back into his email list of people who have signed up for his newsletter but haven't booked a trip, and is sending them a video of himself going, look, here's what I do. This is why you should book with me. And he's taking that experience that you would get at a trade show and just sending it to him directly. If you have any questions, here's my number. Let's FaceTime. I'll walk through any questions that you have. He's got nothing but time, right?
Yep.
And like you say, digitizing that experience for the new normal, so to speak. And that's really cool. To me, that's going to be one of the most interesting things is watching that process take place. Even though it sucks, nobody wants to do any of that stuff, really. But
Well,
how's it going to play
the,
out? You know,
the full-time guides. I mean, someone that goes out and buys a $60,000 truck, $80,000 boat, not working for a couple months. That can hurt people. I mean,
oh yeah,
you got a lot of overhead. You got to keep fishing. So.
Oh yeah.
It all
Absolutely
falls back into the politics thing, and I don't think you want me to go there. So.
No. No, absolutely. And we were just talking about that in the shop as we were out there, making orders. We were talking about just the politics of this whole thing and how people have a tendency to form an opinion, educate themselves through a lens of which they choose, and then stand on that hill and not accept any other new information. And unfortunately, viruses don't care what your political affiliation is. You know what I mean? And whether they do physical damage to you or economic damage to you, the damage is being done. And it's just going to be really weird to see how everything plays out. But now that we've sufficiently bummed people out, what is the next? So what is the next thing for you right now? I mean, as far as guiding goes, are you just kind of waiting to kick off the summer months, or what are you in the middle of?
Well, we're just figuring out a couple. Honestly, I haven't been around in June a lot to be fishing around here. I've grown up kind of fishing the backyard here in the spring, beginning of summer, going on the rivers around here, catching some steelhead and some salmon. But the kokanee in my own backyard are going strong on Lake Stevens right now. Been goofing around out there with some family and friends, and the phone's lighting up with some interest, and we're dabbling in the thoughts of going on this keeper sturgeon thing up north, and
yeah,
it's got a lot of response from it. So I think it could be a great time up there.
What's your go-to kokanee setup, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, this morning, I was out on the lake this morning, took the 9-year-old kiddo and his buddy out, and I'd say the two hottest setups were probably Max. You're familiar with Max, obviously, the Dodger and the Cha-Cha Squidder in orange with the smiley blade, orange on it. Orange has been good for me so far this season. And then on the other side of the boat, the hot one was Kokobo. Kokobo's, I believe it's an Idaho-owned company. I believe it's Alan. I mean, great company, good guy, and his product is spot on. just a little different shape in the Dodger, a little heavier. So it has to do with their speeds, obviously, where you're fishing in that column. And his glass beads on some of his wedding ring styles are pretty sweet. So I've been using a couple different kinds. I mean, there's a local guy here that makes some spoons that catch and fish. It's just all about finding them in that water column. We're actually catching them 30, 40 feet deep in the lake, right?
That's what I was just going to ask. And are you running? Do you? Let me see how I phrase this without embarrassing myself here. So at the lake we fish for kokanee, that will remain unnamed, where I will be going this weekend.
Nice.
We always do better with Grandpa's old rusty Ford fenders with a wedding ring and a piece of corn.
It's not fishing anything else.
And dude, I've run Dodgers, I've run the kokanee cut plugs, the whole thing. Wedding ring behind a brass.
Yeah.
Big old nasty Ford fender mess of shit hanging out the back. And I catch more fish on that than anything. Yeah. And I guess it just depends on where you're at and pressure and all that stuff. But yeah.
Technology has advanced.
Oh yeah.
Series. I mean, who thought we were going to be using these plastic baits that you put tuna in, and salmon wobbler for the Dodger, and these pieces of plastic cut out, the smile blade cut out, and just a flat little wing. I mean, it's all about that leader length. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man, how much stuff you can hang off the back of it. Yeah, it's nuts. So as far as getting the kids on kokanee and keeping them going, keeping them excited, for you in your experience, age level, what's about the youngest that you'll take and know that you can keep them excited? Because I got a 5-year-old, and she lasts about an hour and a half, and then it's back to the dock.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, that's why we do 4-hour kokanee trips.
Yeah.
I'm not putting people in a boat for 7 to 8 hours to catch kokanee.
No.
It's not happening.
No.
It depends. I mean, if the whole family comes, I'll take a 3 or 4-year-old. We can work together on that. But typically, it seems like that 6 to 7 and up age is where they can start concentrating a little bit and doing things. Mm-hmm. They're busy, really busy from 3 to 5. They want to throw stuff overboard. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Short trips, nice weather, consistent action is key for the younger kids.
Yep. That's why kokanee's great.
Yeah, don't put them in the rain for 2 springer takedowns on the anchor.
No.
It's just not. You got to have lots of action for the kiddos.
Yeah. Smallmouth fishing is good for that too, I've found.
Casting. Yep.
Cool. So we'll wrap this up, man. Tell people where they can get a hold of you if they want to book a trip, where you're located. Number one, I don't think we touched on that. Actually had somebody ask where you were located, so let's add that in there.
Hour and a half north of Seattle, Lake Stevens, Washington. You can look me up on Instagram, Peterson's Northwest Guide, Facebook, Peterson's Northwest Guide. Webpage, petersonsnorthwest.com. We'll be hopping all over 2-3 different fisheries for the next couple months. And if they open sockeye in the Upper Columbia and do an emergency opening on Chinook, below Lake Chelan, above Wenatchee, Wells Dam, Brewster area, we'll be there for probably 3 to 4 weeks. So
cool. Well, thanks, man. Hey, how you liking that Storm Rider jacket?
Oh my gosh, I got to fish. I fished that down in Forks for a couple days. It's been all over. I love it. Comfortable coat.
Yeah, awesome. Well, good. Well, thanks for doing this, man. And we will talk to you soon. Anybody who wants to book a trip, hit Aaron up in Northern Washington. And good luck to you the rest of this season. I'm sure we'll talk to you soon. And take care of yourself and your family.
Right on. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you, buddy.
All right, man. Take care. Bye.